Ladies and gentlemen, you see, life is a very brief happening. Just a little bit of time and whoosh, we are gone. But most human beings are not living it, they are only reliving it. Not life, just memory. Some people are not walking forward, they are dragging the dead behind them, they're behind them, they're behind. You had a bad childhood, someone betrayed you. You made mistakes? Of course. Welcome to humanity. But the question is, are you still holding it like it is you? The past is not you. The past is just a photograph that got burnt into your mind, is memory not existent. It is information, not identity. If you look carefully, nothing from your past is here right now, except what you're choosing to carry. This is like picking up ashes and putting them in your pocket and then wondering why your heart feels heavy. When you say, I am like this because of my past, you have handed your present to the graveyard. Listen carefully, you are not what happened to you, you are what you make of it now. Your trauma, your failure, your shame, these are not who you are, these are things that passed by. But you caught them like souvenirs. You decorated your inner world with yesterday's pain. And now you wonder why there is no space for joy. I am not telling you to forget, I am telling you to see clearly. Memory is useful for learning, not for living. Just like the rearview mirror in your car, it helps to glance. But if you stare, you will crash. The only thing that matters is this moment, this breath, this beat, this step. You are not your habits, you are not your name, you are not even your story, you are a possibility. And that is a terrifying kind of freedom, because it means you have no one to blame. But it's also the most beautiful thing. Because now, right now, you can begin again, leave the bag of bones behind, walk lightly because you're not your past, you're not even your future, you are this life here, alive. The past is memory, not identity, because what happened yesterday, last year, or a lifetime ago is only alive inside the folds of your mind, like echoes that bounce in an empty hall long after the voice has gone silent. And yet you cling to those echoes as if they are you, as if they define your face, your breath, your being, but they do not. Because memory is not the fabric of who you are, it is only a shadow cast by an experience that is no longer breathing. You must understand that just because you remember something vividly, painfully, beautifully, doesn't mean it is part of your skin or carved into your bones. It only means that you have paid a certain kind of attention to it, and that attention has given it weight. Meaning that the truth is, the moment has passed, the people have moved on, the scenes have changed, and you are sitting here thinking you are sitting here thinking you are still inside it, wearing it like a second skin that was never meant to stay. What happened? The loss, the love, the betrayal, the joy, all of it was real, yes. But that reality has already flowed into the past, and what remains is a recording. And just like you wouldn't mistake a photograph for the actual sunset, you shouldn't mistake your memory for your identity. Because the moment you start to believe that your past defines who you are now, you give away the wild, untamed power of this moment, this now, this breath. You see, people spend their whole lives rearranging the furniture of their past, trying to sit comfortably in something that no longer exists. But no matter how you decorate it, no matter how you grieve it or glorify it is still yesterday. And if you are still using it to explain your anger, your fear, your hesitation, then you are not living, you are just recycling old stories, hoping they will someday make you feel safe. But safety does not come from the known, it comes from the alive. And you are only alive now, not in the pages of your past journals, not in the memories that visit you at night, not in the voices that once shaped you and then vanished. So if you want to truly breathe, you must unhook yourself from the illusion that your story is your soul, because your story is a path you walk, not the being that walked it. Even your name, your habits, your language, your patterns, all these are constructions, borrowed garments, inherited noise, and if you can sit for a moment and see them for what they are, tools for survival maybe, but not your essence, you might finally feel the stillness underneath. The space that was never hurt, never broken, never afraid, because that space is you, and it has nothing to do with time. You are not your regret, not your guilt, not your glory either. You are not the person they remember or the one you wish you were. You are the open possibility of what this moment can become. If you stop clutching the ashes of the fire that once burned and instead notice the air that still moves in and out of you effortlessly, quietly, reminding you that life is not behind you, it is not ahead of you, it is here. And so, Yuari, Truly ready, let memory be memory, like leaves falling into a river, witnessed but not gripped, honored but not lived in. Because you were never meant to be a prisoner of your own history. You were meant to be the flame that rises again and again. Not because it forgets what came before, but because it remembers that it was never defined by what burned. Freedom lies in awareness, not in action, not in rebellion, not even in escape. Because true freedom is not about running away from what binds you, but about seeing clearly that nothing ever truly bound you in the first place except your own unconscious entanglement with thought, emotion, identity, and the illusion that what you experience is who you are, while in truth, awareness is like a sky vast, untouched, open. And when you begin to sit in that space without naming, without judging, without holding, something loosens, something dissolves, something opens. You see, most people think freedom means doing what you want, going where you want, saying what you want. But that kind of freedom is fragile, always dependent on outer conditions, on circumstance, and it breaks the moment someone says no, or life says wait, or the body says stop. But the real freedom, the one that cannot be taken, begins the moment you become aware of the mechanism of your own suffering. The patterns that rule you, the reactions that rise in you without asking, the stories you replay without question, and in that seeing, in that naked observation, it is not about fixing yourself, it is not about becoming perfect, it is not about building a better mask. Because you have tried that and it exhausted you, it wore you down, trying to live up to an idea of what a free person should look like. But freedom is not a performance, it is not a lifestyle. It is not some enlightened smile glued to your face. It is the quiet power of knowing that whatever arises in you, be it anger, fear, joy or grief, you are not that, you are the one who sees that. And when you begin to see without flinching, without turning away, without needing to fix, control or label, then you begin to notice something very subtle, something immensely powerful, that your awareness has no agenda, no story, no name. It simply is. And in that being there is an ease. A liberation that doesn't come from changing your life, but from waking up inside it. Because awareness does not choose sides, it does not cling to good or push away bad, it simply allows what is, and this allowing is not passive. It is not surrender in weakness, it is a kind of fearless presence that sees the storm and stands still, not because it is numb, but because it knows it is the sky, and the storm will pass. And when you know you are the sky, no storm can break you. And this is the paradox. Freedom is not something you gain, it is something you uncover by stripping away all that you are not, all that you believed, all that you performed. And left in the quiet center of your being is this open, silent, watching presence that asks for nothing but sees everything. And in that seeing, the grip of the past begins to fade, the fear of the future softens and only now remains, raw, unedited. And the more you rest in this awareness, the more you begin to act from clarity instead of compulsion, to speak from stillness, instead of reaction, to live without needing to control every outcome. Because now you are no longer driven by the blind machinery of memory and conditioning. You are moving from a deeper place and knowing that it's not taught but remembered, not learned but revealed. So yes, freedom lies in awareness, not because awareness gives you power over the world, but because it gives you freedom from needing power at all, and in that freedom is peace, in that peace is clarity, and in that clarity is life. Not the life you were told to live, not the life you struggle to fix, but the life that simply is here now, waiting to be met with open eyes. Living in the past is carrying a corpse, because what is gone has no breath, no warmth, no motion, and yet you drape it across your shoulders, heavy and cold, believing it gives you identity, meaning justification for your sorrow, your rage, your silence. But all it truly does is rot in your mind, feeding on your aliveness, whispering memories like ghosts that want to be remembered but do not want to release you. And if you are not careful, you begin to smell like it, speak like it, walk like it, forgetting that the one who once felt pain is not the one who stands here now. And still you grip it tighter, out of fear that without this weight, you would be nothing at all. You don't realize that to live inside a memory is to die while breathing, to call yourself by names that were only true for a moment, to weep for versions of yourself that no longer exist, to hold grudges like precious heirlooms passed down from pain to pain, And somewhere deep inside, you know this is not living, this is sleepwalking, this is worshipping a story that no longer fits the skin you're in. But change feels like betrayal, and so you carry it like a child carries a broken toy, convinced it still holds magic. And the corpse you carry is not only your mistakes, your regrets, your heartbreaks, it is also your victories, your glory days, the times when you felt full, seen, certain. And you carry those too, embalmed in nostalgia, dressed up in longing, and you keep looking back as if the past is a home you were kicked out of. I'm not saying that this very gaze is what blinds you to the doorway opening now, because you cannot step forward while dragging the dead behind. It is not that the past didn't happen, it is not that it was meaningless, but its meaning was meant for then. And when you force it into the present, it decays, it distorts, it becomes bitterness, pride, guilt, and you begin to speak in the language of I should have did it. And each sentence you speak is like another shovel of soil you throw on the aliveness of this moment, wondering why nothing new is growing in you anymore. You may dress it up, perfume it with clever words, decorate it with stories that make you feel righteous or wronged. But it is still a corpse, it cannot love you, it cannot answer you, it cannot hold you, it can only weigh you down. And the longer you carry it, the more you become it. Not fresh, not awake, but preserved in memory, frozen in time, waiting for a past that will never return. And somewhere along the path, you must ask yourself, how long will I carry this weight that was never meant to walk with me into tomorrow? How long will I delay my own blooming because I am holding the dried petals of a flower that already fell, a flower that already… How long will I mistake familiarity for truth and pain for identity, when even the sky does not cling to the shape of yesterday's clouds? There comes a time when you must place the corpse down gently if you must, weep if you must, thank it if you must, but place it down and walk on with empty hands and open palms, not because you are erasing the past, but because you finally understand it cannot come with you. And what waits ahead requires space, lightness, presence, the kind of presence that cannot exist when your back is bent beneath the bones of what was. So living in the past is carrying a corpse, and you were never meant to be a gravekeeper of your own spirit. You were born to rise, to move, to unfold, and no matter how sacred, how tragic, how beautiful the story was, it is over. And life is asking you, pleading with you, not to be the one who stays behind, trying to warm a body that no longer breathes. You are possibility, not a pattern, because no matter how many times you've acted the same way, spoken the same words, fallen into the same silence, it does not mean that is who you are. It only means a certain momentum has been at play, a rhythm carved by repetition, by memory, by fear dressed as comfort, and you thinking this rhythm is your identity have begun to mistake the habit for the being, the echo for the voice, the cage for the self. But the truth is that every moment, this moment, is not chained to the last unless you choose it to be. And in that space between what has been and what could be, there is you, untouched and scripted away. The patterns you repeat are not you. They are only grooves etched into your mind by years of reacting, defending, clinging, proving, pleasing, surviving. And somewhere along the way you forgot that you were the one who watched it all happen, the one who was always aware. Even as the waves of emotion rose and crashed, even as you said, I can't help it, it's just the way I am. You were still there, behind it all, the stillness, the witness, the one who could break the loop the moment you saw it clearly. But instead of seeing, you've been playing the same stories about who hurt you, who you're not, what you'll never be, what you always do wrong, and slowly, almost silently, those stories became your face, your tone, your walk, your choices, and now when the moment of possibility comes, you don't even notice it because you're already inside the old script, wearing it like skin, believing that being predictable is the same as being real, and yet deep within you something has not conformed, something has not bowed, something has not given up, and that something is not made of memory or personality or fear, it is made of the unknown, it is made of the not yet, it is made of pure potential. And it stirs in you like a soft wind you keep ignoring, a whisper you hear only in quiet moments when the noise of the past dims. And in that whisper is the reminder that you were never meant to become a character trapped in a single storyline. You are not bound by how you reacted yesterday. You are not doomed to become a shadow of your parents, or a mirror of your pain, or a repetition of your worst decisions. Because those were experiences, not definitions, and what you are cannot be captured by patterns, cannot be reduced to habits, cannot be explained by behavior, because what you are is the space where newness lives, where change is not a struggle but a natural unfolding, where becoming is always happening beneath the surface, whether you allow it or not. And when you stop defending your limitations, when you stop introducing yourself by your wounds, when you stop telling people what you always do, what you always feel, what you never achieve, then suddenly the door opens and you find yourself standing in the vastness of now, where nothing is scripted and every word, every step, every breath is a chance to write a new pattern. Not from the weight of the past, but from the lightness of present. You are not stuck, you are not too late, you are not too broken, you are simply repeating, and repetition is not fate. It is only unconsciousness, and the moment you bring awareness into the moment before the pattern begins, you reclaim your authorship, you become the creator again, not the echo. Not the result, not the victim of some ancient rhythm, but the one who can shift it all, not by force, but by seeing. So your possibility, not a pattern, and every time you pause before reacting, every time you stay with the breath instead of the thought, every time you choose stillness over the familiar storm, you remind the universe that you are not here to relive what we are out of it, but uh, not to wear your past like a mask, but to walk into this moment naked, whole and ready, to repeat, but to become. Healing begins with this identification. Because as long as you keep calling the wound your wound, as long as you keep saying my pain, my anxiety, my trauma, my failure, you are still feeding it your breath. You are still keeping it alive by wearing it like skin, and you may not see it. But every time you speak of your suffering as if it defines you are giving it roots in the soil of your identity, and no root wants to let go unless you stop watering it with belief, with attachment, with the constant whisper, this is who I am. You were hurt, yes, you were broken in places that no one saw. You were shaped by moments that felt too sharp to carry, but what happened to you is not the same as who you are. And if you can begin to see this gap, the small but powerful space between the experience and the self, then healing begins not because the pain disappears overnight, but because you stop holding it as you, and in that one shift, something begins to lose. Something begins to breathe that hasn't breathed in years. You are not the sadness, you are not the shame, you are not the one who failed, or the one who was left, or the one who didn't measure up. Those were moments, chapters, storms, but they are not your name, not your essence, not your truth. And the more you identify with them, the deeper they weave into your nervous system like vines. The more you believe them, the more they become invisible scripts that write your life while you stand on the stage, wondering why your story always sounds the same. But if for a moment, even just a moment, you can witness the pain instead of being the pain, if you can see the thought instead of being the thinker, if you can notice the fear instead of drowning in it, something sacred happens, not dramatic, not loud, but a soft awakening. A shift in posture from I am this to this is passing through me, and that simple movement is the beginning of liberation, the beginning of healing that does not require force, only honesty. Because healing is not about fixing what is broken, it is about seeing clearly what was never you to begin with. The layers you wore to survive, the roles you played to be loved, the voices you absorbed to stay safe, and one by one you see them, feel them, thank them if you must. But you stop calling them me, and this is not denial, it is the deepest kind of clarity, to stand in the fire of what happened without becoming the ash. And of course, the pain will visit, the fear will rise, the old reflexes will try to reclaim their place in you. But now you have space between the storm and your center. Now you do not collapse at the first tremor, now you can hold the brokenness without being broken. Now you can sit with the ache without losing your seat, and that is what it means to heal. Not to erase, but to become larger than what once consumed you. So disidentification is not escape, it is not spiritual bypass, it is the courage to say, this pain is here, but it is not who I am, this thought is loud, but I am the one who hears it. This emotion is powerful, but it is a wave and I am the ocean. And when this knowing becomes embodied, not just understood but felt in your bones, in your breath, in your stillness, then the past begins to lose its grip and the future no longer feels like a repetition of yesterday. Healing begins with disidentification, because only when you stop mistaking the mask for the face, the voice for the soul, the scar for the self, only then can you touch the part of you that was never touched by pain, never stained by story, never broken by life. And from that place, that quiet, luminous place, you do not need to become anything else. You only need to remember that what you truly are does not need healing, it only needs to be seen.